Air pollution is deadly. In fact, a recent study found that on average, it cuts human lifespan by 3 years, which is higher than the global effect on lifespan caused by smoking. No level of pollution is safe, but the World Health Organization, WHO, has set a target of 10 micrograms per cubic meter, G/m superscript 3, of fine particulate matter, known as PM2.5 particles, a level that it says minimises the risk of adverse health effects. However, many countries have much higher levels of PM2.5 particles, which can lead to low birth weight, increased acute respiratory infections, and stroke. Check out the list of the 10 most polluted countries in the world below, and think twice before visiting them. Number 10, Kuwait. 34 micrograms per cubic meter in 2020. Air pollution in Kuwait is caused by a range of factors including vehicles, construction projects, smoke from chimneys and dust and sandstorms. Kuwait City's air had been classified as moderate by the Air Quality Index in 2020, which is an improvement from its unhealthy rating in 2019. This has been helped by vehicle traffic greatly reducing and construction having ground to a halt during the pandemic, but this has led to huge numbers of migrant workers losing their jobs. What happens next will likely depend on what path the government pursues for recovery. Number 9, China. 34.7 micrograms per cubic meter in 2020. The toxic smog that often envelopes China's cities is well known, though it is far from the most polluted country, coming in at 14th in the 2020 IQ Air rankings. Its densely populated cities might explain why the air seems so deadly, with recent research claiming that long-term exposure to air pollution killed 30.8 million people in China between 2000 and 2016. However, the coronavirus outbreak did affect pollution levels, with NASA images showing a clear reduction in nitrogen dioxide levels across the country, which it says were at least partly associated with the economic slowdown caused by the disease. That said, China's economy has bounced back quicker than any other, and by July 2020 levels of pollution had already risen beyond levels seen pre-pandemic, according to the Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air, and so it's expected that the level of particles will rise again for 2021. Number 8, Mali. 37.9 micrograms per cubic meter in 2020. Mali is a landlocked country in West Africa with serious air pollution issues. The country's PM2.5 concentration is more than 3 times above WHO exposure recommendations at a level of 37.9 micrograms per cubic meter. Air quality in West Africa as a whole is difficult to gauge, as local monitoring systems can be unreliable, but it's believed that the high pollution levels could lead to a 1.2-year drop in life expectancy in the area, according to a 2020 report by the Energy Policy Institute at the University of Chicago. Factors contributing to Mali's dire air quality include old vehicles that run on fuel with a high sulfur content, open waste burning, and diesel electricity generation in lieu of a reliable central grid. Number 7, Nepal. 39.2 micrograms per cubic meter in 2020. Poorer parts of southern and eastern Asia have some of the highest urban pollution, with annual levels averaging over 5 times the recommended limits. In Nepal, it has contributed to rising rates of lung and skin disease, according to the BBC. Even major landmarks such as Buddha's birthplace of Lumbini have been affected by industrial activity nearby. Tourists have reported breathing issues and monks were known to wear masks even before the outbreak of COVID-19. A countrywide lockdown did unlock the beauty of areas such as the Kathmandu Valley though, according to satellite images, if only temporarily. Number 6, Bahrain. 39.7 micrograms per cubic meter in 2020. The presence of nearby deserts causes severe dust storms in parts of the Middle East, including the world's 11th most polluted country, Bahrain. They mark a stark contrast to the smog that engulfs cities in other polluted parts of the world, but the dirt and other materials caught up in the storms can still keep people inside, and even prove fatal, as reported by the Middle East Eye. However, the coronavirus pandemic's impact on travel has led to less vehicle pollution, and likely caused the drop in polluting particles in 2020, which fell from 46.8 micrograms per cubic meter in 2019 to 39.7 micrograms per cubic meter. Number 5. Bosnia and Herzegovina, 40.6 micrograms per cubic meter in 2020. In January 2020, the thick smog and pollution enveloping Bosnia and Herzegovina's capital Sarajevo was so bad it prompted the Swedish embassy to brand it in a category of its own. Large coal power stations emit sulfur dioxide and other pollutants into the atmosphere, with 44,000 years of life expectancy lost each year due to particulate matter or nitrogen dioxide in the country. According to the UN, the government has banned diesel vehicles from Sarajevo city center, and even recommended that residents use protective masks before the pandemic. Not even the coronavirus lockdown has been able to bring down air pollution levels in this Balkan country, with pollution rising from 34.6 micrograms per cubic meter in 2019 to 40.6 micrograms per cubic meter in 2020. Satellite images from the European Space Agency have shown how the polluting power plants are having a detrimental impact on the air quality. Number 4. Indonesia, 40.7 micrograms per cubic meter in 2020. The ninth most polluted country in the rankings, the Air Quality Life Index released a specific report on the impacts of air pollution in Indonesia in 2019, which states that the average Indonesian loses 1.2 years of life expectancy due to pollution. In the worst affected regions, that figure is as high as 4 years. Each year, pollution causes schools to temporarily close their doors because officials deem the air quality to be dangerous. However, photos vividly show the effect a reduction in people's movements due to the COVID-19 pandemic have had on the air quality in the capital Jakarta, and pollution levels have decreased considerably from 51.70 micrograms per cubic meter in 2019 to 40.7 micrograms per cubic meter in 2020. Number 3. Kyrgyzstan, 43.5 micrograms per cubic meter in 2020. Corruption is rife in the Central Asian state of Kyrgyzstan, but its impact on the country's population is eclipsed by the debilitating air quality. In 2019, Kyrgyzstan reported average PM2.5 levels of 33.2 micrograms per cubic meter, which are deemed moderate by IQ Air, but the country has bucked the global trend and witnessed air quality levels decrease to a level that is unhealthy for sensitive groups in 2020. The capital of Bishkek is particularly susceptible to high levels of air pollution caused by industrial growth, increases in energy production and urban development, and in November 2019 recorded several hazardous levels of air pollution. At these air quality levels, IQ Air recommends avoiding outside activity altogether. Harsh winters exacerbate the poor air quality, as pollution-producing stoves and industrial furnaces are heavily relied upon to counter the bitter winds blowing in from Siberia. Number 2. Qatar, 44.3 micrograms per cubic meter in 2020. This is the first year that the Middle Eastern country of Qatar has featured in the IQ Air World Air Quality Report, although air pollution has long been an issue there. At the beginning of 2021, Qatar's air quality was deemed so bad that it was considered unhealthy for sensitive groups. Qatar has the world's third largest natural gas reserves, around 12.5% of the global reserve, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, EIA, and it is the world's largest exporter of liquefied natural gas, according to 2019 data. The exploration, production and manufacture of this gas is at the core of Qatar's deteriorating air quality, and the government has reportedly said it will spare no effort in combating air pollution, while it continues to develop the country's most lucrative industry. Number 1. Oman, 44.4 micrograms per cubic meter in 2020. This year also marks Oman's debut in the IQ Air World Air Quality Report, and the oldest independent state in the Arab world is also the most polluted. Rapid economic development, improved living standards and denser urban populations have all contributed to a high level of air pollution in the Sultanate, which currently has a PM2.5 concentration of 44.4 micrograms per cubic meter. Coastal areas are some of the worst affected, as a combination of industrial concentration and unfavorable natural conditions intensifies pollution issues. Sohar city on the northern coast is a prime example of this, as is Oman's capital Muscat, which also suffers from heightened nitrogen-oxygen levels due to dense vehicle traffic, according to a 2015 report by WHO. The video has come to an end. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. It helps a lot for us to continue bringing this type of content here. Until the next video.